तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Om Shri Sai Ram. I offer my most humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagwan, Shri Satya Sai Baba. Respected elders, dear brothers and sisters, Sai Ram to all of you. Through Swami's divine will and grace, we are blessed to have with us today Brother Ajnish Rai, an alumnus of Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. Brother Ajnish hails from the beautiful land of Darjeeling in West Bengal. He completed his MSc in Life Sciences from Swami's institution and has also been blessed with many illustrious gurus who have nurtured and helped him to master the art of music. Brother Ajnish studied Hindustani classical vocal and ghazal singing from Ustad Dayal Thakur, who is a great disciple of Bade Ghulam Ali Khan. He also learned the art of Western musical arrangements from Çağlayan Yıldız of Turkey and violin from Marian Tanke of Germany during his days at the Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. As a young class 11 student, Brother Ajnish was blessed by Bhagwan to sing Bhajans in the Prashanti Mandir. Over the years, Brother Ajnish has released many devotional albums and songs. To name a few, the Living God series, O Sai Ma, Golden Days, Noor, Sai Bin Raha N Jaye, Pyare Sai Hamare, Thank You Swami, Yade Khuda, Satya Narayan Sai, Ram Katha, Sai Dham, and Forever in Sai. Presently, Brother Ajnish runs a recording studio called Matrix Sound Lab in his hometown. His wife, Meghna, who is also an ardent devotee and a talented singer, has joined hands with him to run a vocal training school in Darjeeling called Gurukul Sangeet Sansthan. He has toured a number of Sai centers around the world, spreading Swami's message through satsangs, bhajan programs, bhajan training sessions, Ramakatha renditions, as well as introducing singers to Hindustani classical music through Sai Bhajans. It is also on a happy note that we hear it was Brother Ajnish's birthday yesterday. Let us all pray that Swami may bless him abundantly with many more years of great joy and happiness. We, the Sai family of Sri Lanka, wish you a very happy birthday, dear brother. On behalf of the Sri Satya Sai International Organization Sri Lanka, it has given me the greatest pleasure to introduce and invite Brother Ajnish to share his wonderful experiences with us this evening. We also remind all the devotees that there will be a question and answer session followed by Brother Ajnish's talk. We kindly request all of you to send your questions to moderator's chat box. Without any further delay, we welcome Brother Ajnish to share this wonderful evening with us and take us along on this blissful journey. Jai Sai Ram.
Om Sri Sai Ram. I offer my humble pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet. Dear brothers and sisters of Sri Lanka, it is a great honor and joy to be amongst you tonight. And of course, I do pray to Bhagwan to make this time of this particular satsang fruitful for all those present. And also, I pray to Bhagwan that the internet does not give way, because in the place where I live, the internet is very inconsistent. And I have also asked the organizers to have a backup plan ready in case the net fails. Anyways, I went to Puttaparthi. I went to Puttaparthi when I was 17 years old, as a young student of class 11. And then I joined the Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning in the year 1989. And from then on, went on to do my graduation from Vrindavan, Whitefield. And again, through Swami's grace, I came back to Parthi to do my master's in biosciences, and finally ended up being a bhajan singer. I don't have any of the certificates except the stamp of a Sai student, and that has been the greatest certificate for me in my life. And through all my endeavors, just the Sai name sticking beside my name as a Sai student takes me places doing bhajans and allows me to do music. I understand the world is full of millions of singers and great musicologists, much more qualified than the little me. And I deem this a great honor and blessing of Swami to be able to narrate his story and sing a few bhajans in front of you all. In my 11th standard, I was urged by some of my friends to ask permission to Swami to sing in the mandir. Now, singing inside the mandir is the most coveted desire for any singer, any Sai devotee. Even great ustads and great musicians yearn to perform before Bhagwan and sing before Bhagwan. I have had the great good fortune of seeing Bharat Ratnas like Pandit Bhimsen Joshi, Anup Jalota, Pandit Jashraj, Ghazal Maestro Jagjit Singh, sing before Bhagwan, and great, the goddess of music, N.S. Subbalakshmi, perform great stalwarts. But to sing in the mandir consistently on a daily basis is another story. Only His grace can give you that opportunity. And I was a little afraid to ask Bhagwan, but my friends pushed me on. And the first thing Bhagwan said when I asked Bhagwan, can I sing in front of you in the mandir? And he turned around and said, of course. And that was a very unique response by Bhagwan, because normally he says, practice karo, you will have to practice, and otherwise he will just divert the question saying that I'll have to ask the warden or Sailesh sir ko, music teacher ko, pucho, matlab ask the music teacher whether you are qualified. But for me, Bhagwan told, of course. And I did not know the exact extent to the purport of what Bhagwan was telling, but see how he laid down this life. Finally turned out to be his bhajan singer. And then that is how the story goes. Let me sing the first ever bhajan I sang before Bhagwan inside the hallowed mandir. It was Jaya Jaya Krishna Yadunandana, very simple bhajan. Jaya Jaya Krishna Yadunandana, Jaya Jaya Krishna Yadunandana, Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Chandana, Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Chandana, Jaya Jaya Krishna Yadunandana, Jaya Jaya Krishna Manamohana, Jaya Jaya Krishna Manamohana, Jaya Jaya Sai Gopalana, Jaya Jaya Sai Gopalana, Jaya Jaya Sai Gopalana, Jaya Jaya Krishna Yadunandana. This was my first ever bhajan. I was about 17 years old that time. And immediately the following day, Bhagwan called me inside the interview room and he said, what bhajan did you sing yesterday? And I said, Jaya Jaya Krishna. And that time, and he asked me, can you sing the first line? So I sang, Jaya Jaya Krishna Yadunandana. If you notice, I have extended the Krishna. That is because my mother tongue, I speak Nepali. So we have a tendency to pronounce certain words in a different way. So I said, Jaya Jaya Krishna Yadunandana. And then Bhagwan suddenly gives me my first lesson. He said, what is the meaning of Krishna? It is not Krishna, it is Krishna. And he asked me to sing that line with the correct pronunciation. And I even argued, Bhagwan, it does not fit in beat. You'll have to extend the Krishna. But he said, sing with Krishna. So I sang, Jaya Jaya Krishna Yadunandana. And he said, yes, this is the correct way to pronounce Krishna. And from then on, the lessons and all those guidance by Bhagwan carried on throughout my entire stay in Puttaparthi for about 8 years. I studied in Puttaparthi. But Bhagwan was constantly giving us the guidance necessary for being his bhajan singer. Till today, I am very conscious about pronunciation in my studio. Whenever people come and record, I, I suggest them some pronunciation changes and how to uh, how to accent in certain places of the music. And that particular lesson of Bhagwan has been uh, life-changing, and it has certainly helped. And to such an extent that later on, while singing Urdu ghazals, I I thought if I have to sing Urdu ghazals, then I will need to learn Urdu, because Bhagwan has already put that in my head, Pronunciation is the first thing while singing. So I took up Urdu classes in Mumbai for about 2 years to learn the different alphas and the alphabets in the necessary to sing Urdu ghazals. Now, after this first experience, I was more bold. And the second bhajan which I sang before Bhagwan was a very tough bhajan. I was a very ambitious young teenager at that time, and I chose Dr. Sunam Gamso's bhajan, which is in Rag Bihar. Let me sing this out, since this is a bhajan workshop also. Mathuraadhipate Krishna Mukunda, Mathuraadhipate Krishna Mukunda, Madhusudana Ghana Shama Mukunda, Madhusudana Ghana Shama Mukunda, Venu Vinolana Pariti Ramana, Yadukula Bhushana Rajivalochana, Paripurishvara Jayamana Mohana, Madhusudana Ghana Shama Mukunda, Mathuradhipate Krishna Mukunda. This was my second bhajan, which I sang just about 4 days after I sang my first bhajan. And singing before Bhagwan, sitting like 2 feet away from his throne inside the mandir. It was very unnerving experience, And to add to my discomfiture, if I may say, the harmonium player put a shruti like this. So that day I sang Mathuraadhipate Krishna Mukunda. So you can imagine how the high lines sound like. Venu Vinolana Pariti Ramana Yadukula Bhushana. So it was horrible. I could make out myself that I must be singing really horribly, because Swami was making faces and concerned about the whole performance. And then I realized, when I used to sit with the boys away from the bhajan hall, when I was not a singer, I used to enjoy bhajan so much. I used to look at those beautiful eucalyptus trees around Puttaparthi. That time there was no hall there, so it was open space. There were beautiful trees around, and the birds settling in, the sun setting, and the warmth of Puttaparthi, and the sand was still there. So that experience was so beautiful and blissful. But now I am sitting right in front of Bhagwan and, so concerned about how I am going to sing, what shruti is in, whether the tablist will play a very fast beat and I will skip the beat. And I'm worried, because sometimes Swami used to just stop. He used to put tal for the bhajan. And Suddenly he used to stop, means your bhajan is over. So we used to dread that. And now the bhajan experience for me became a very kind of filled with anxiety and tension. So I thought I will go back and sit near the garage where I used to enjoy enjoy the scene and sit with all the devotees and feel very blissful. So I avoided going inside the lead bhajan group's that place, and I sat behind. And about a month had passed. I was enjoying my blissful state, and Swami comes around in darshan, and he looks at me angrily, and he says, like, tongue cut gaya, meaning, has your is your tongue cut? That's all. That's all he said, and he went away. And afterwards, probably he had a word with warden, and warden sir called me when I was back in the hostel, and he told me what Swami meant. Did you understand, boy? Swami has given you a unique opportunity that even the greatest of singers, even the greatest of yogis and sages yearn for lifetimes. You have been chosen to sing in the mandir. And you, instead of fulfilling that responsibility, or instead of availing that chance, you are sitting away and avoiding your responsibility. You are shunning your responsibility. You are not utilizing your chance that Bhagwan has given to you. And he said to me one thing: if Bhagwan gives you any responsibility, now this particular thing will be applicable to all the conveners, the presidents, to all office bearers in Sai organization. He said, if Bhagwan gives you a responsibility, he does not give you without any reason. He will give you the strength and the courage and the necessary energy to fulfill your responsibility. So you get your act together, and from tomorrow onwards, I want to see you inside the bhajan. So this was a great lesson for me, and I want to share with you all, with all the office bearers, portfolio holders, this particular thing about if Swami gives us a responsibility, whether it is to sing a bhajan, whether it is to be a Bal Vikas Guru, whether it is to give a speech, or whether it is to serve tea or do seva, or to uh, uh, wipe the floors, Bhagwan has given it to you with a reason. And that is not just a responsibility, it is also a great opportunity. So before I move on to other aspects of the few things I know and the few experiences that I will be sharing with you, if you have anything to point me in a certain direction, please let me know. Any of the brothers and sisters who are present here can pose a question, or the moderator can. Sairam?
Sairam, brother.
Yes.
I think we are pretty much enjoying your experience sharing. So we would like to hear more about the incidents which are like bhajan related you had with Swami, and anything specifically like related to bhajans which Swami has instructed you, or anything which Swami loves when you sing. Those sort of things we love to hear from you.
All right. I used to love mostly very emotional bhajans, like Daya Karo, Kripa Karo. And I was a very kind of sentimental type of a kid, even while growing up. And I used to sing bhajans like Tere Siva Prabhu Koi Nahi Hai, Tujhko Mera Pranam, तुझको मेरा प्रणाम ओ साई बाबा, तुझको मेरा प्रणाम. And of course, these things doesn't go unnoticed by the Divine Master, right? So one of the darshan times, Bhavan came around and told me, why are you always worrying, putting on a glum castor oil face? You should be happy, always be happy. So, and when Bhagwan says always be happy, it is like he turns on a switch inside you, and it lasts for a long, long time. So I ended up singing Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Very happy, I was joyful for about, say, almost 3-4 months, because Swami has switched on your happy switch. But again, the samskara, it comes back. So again, I went on to singing. Daya Karu Sai Narayana, Karuna Sagar Narayana, or Sai Ra, Sai Shyam, Mere Sai Ram. Mostly on the very sentimental side of Bhajans. I went back into my old self. And again, Bhagavan comes around. And he started teasing me for nothing about some girl. He used to tease students about having affairs and this and that. And he used to tell, poor girl is crying. She wants to marry a bhajan singer. And she will commit suicide if you do not agree. Are you willing to marry? Every day. So he used to try to put me in a happy mood all the time. And nowadays I realize it is okay to be sentimental for a bit, but the general public, all the devotees, they want bhajans which will liven them up. They want bhajans to lift up the spirits, to take away from the mundane world. So nowadays, when I sing in bhajan halls or anywhere, except for bhajan performance, where you need to provide them with different types of bhajan genres and different types of songs. But if it is just singing a bhajan, I always choose a nice, very uplifting bhajan, mostly a namavali, like Hari Om Tat Sat. I'm sure most of devotees will be very familiar with bhajans like this, namavalis, and which are up tempo and which will involve all the singers. And let me narrate to you one very touching incident. During my Puttaparthi days as a hostel boy, we used to get money, pocket money from home through post. And it had been about 3-4 months that my pocket money had not arrived. It used to be 300 rupees a month, nothing much, but it used to be a lot, because we in Puttaparthi hostel we used to get watermelons for 5 rupees, veg patties for just 1 rupee. It was very cheap. It used to be enough for a month, but now it's been 3 months. I have not got any pocket money from home, and for a few days, my friends, helped me out. But then after a week, it became very embarrassing for me to always be relying on my friends for the snacks and stuff like this. So during the food stall time, that is what we used to call, after darshan or bhajan, we used to go back to the hostel and we used to have a snack time and spend our pocket money. So that time I used to feel embarrassed and sad also, and used to take a walk to the Hanuman statue and sit there, wondering my parents are not bothered about me, or my father has forgotten to send me money. And it was during one of these very desperate days that during darshan, Bhagwan called me inside, and I have not told anybody about this particular predicament of mine. And Bhagwan, without telling anything, inside the interview room there was a small cupboard, and he walks to the cupboard, opens the cupboard, takes out a small tin, and from there he took out two 500 rupee notes and put it in my pocket. And he told me, fruits or Viva. Viva is like Horlicks, energy drink. Fruits or Viva have. And I was stunned at that moment, the omnipotent master, omniscient master, how he knows about all the difficulties every student is facing. And at that time, Bhagwan had announced that he was going to build the super specialty hospital. The water project was underway. And so many devotees to take care after, so many prayers to listen to. And here he's answering a prayer which I have not even asked him. And that particular day, I sang this bhajan, very, very simple bhajan. But this particular bhajan, like any other bhajans for each one of you, it holds a special memory. Every bhajan has a special memory, a special instance of communication with Bhagwan or seeing him in a different light. So this bhajan I saw Bhagwan as my parent, as my own mother, who understands the need of a child. Sai Mata Pita Dinabandhu Sakha Tere Charanon mein Sai mera koti pranam Mujhe Shakti do mere Sai Shiva Mujhe Bhakti do mere Sai Shiva मुझे मुक्ति दो मेरे साई शिवा साई माता पिता दीनबंधु सखा तेरे चरणों में साई मेरा कोटि प्रणाम. So this was one very touching, and in fact, once I had a program in Singapore, and one of the organizers, when I told him I'm going to sing this song, this Bajan, he told me, Ajnish, we brought you all the way from India to Singapore to sing Sai Mata Pita Dinabandhu Sakha. It's such an ABCD nursery rhyme like Bajan. And I told him, well, I will explain to you why I sing this bhajan. And then I sang this bhajan, and he cried, he wept, because even a small, simple tune holds so much of memory. And another thing, we were tutored in Puttaparthi. We used to practice day in and day out. I used to wake up every day at 5 or even earlier, and we used to do the riyas, whatever our elders told. And we used to practice at least for an hour, every day, every day, every day. And to our seniors, like mentors like Dr. Sonam Gencho, Sanjeev Borbara, they were great singers that time. And they inspired and helped us in our bhajan singing. They rectified, corrected our mistakes, and before singing in front of Bhagwan, we used to sing in front of them. And they used to tell us, correct this line or that, and maybe sing after 3-4 days. This is the raga, this is the aroha, avaroha of the raga, and this is the tala. So because at that time I was a novice in classical music, I just loved to sing, that's all. It was only later that I went to Bombay after my master's, There I met my guru and I started learning classical music. But in Puttaparthi, it was just singing from the heart, and we used to depend on these wonderful brothers to teach us and mentor us. And of course, Bhagwan's bhajans, the Sri Satya Sai bhajans is a big encyclopedia in itself. It's an encyclopedia of different ragas. It is a conglomeration of North Indian and South Indian music. It has North Indian style of bhajans like just now I showed you. Mathura Dhipate, like this is in Rag Bihara. Nisagama Panisa Nipa Maga Maga Sa. Then it has very South Indian bhajans as well. Then it has got also the Deccan area, the Marathi type of singing, Gujarati and Orissa, Madhya Pradesh belt. So it has got a conglomeration of all the knowledge of India. And it has got all sorts of talas in it. It has most of the bhajans are in Kerva and Bhajan Theka. That is 8 beats. Then there are many bhajans like Shri Ramachandra, Jaya Ramachandra. So these are in Dadra, 6 beats. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Govinda Bolo. Then there are certain bhajans even in Rupak, which are more difficult for the normal devotees to follow, but the bhajan tradition is in Puttaparthi such that it has been sung so often that normal devotees are also familiar with these ragas and different talas. And it is a wonderful, what do you call it? A nursery to bring up upcoming singers. So even in our place in Darjeeling, whenever we have the singing contests and all the top 10 will be mostly bhajan singers and Bal Vikas children who have gone through the the stages of bhajan singing, who have gone through the practice of bhajan singing. Their voices are in form, plus they are acquainted already with the different ragas and talas, so their singing prowess is naturally increased. So it is a great practicing ground also. Apart from the spiritual benefits, the health benefits of singing, bhajans, Sri Satya Sai bhajan especially, it's a beautiful thing. And another thing I learned in Puttaparthi is that when you are singing Sri Satya Sai bhajans, Sai Baba bhajans, it is not about solo singing. It is not at all about your performance. It is about the involvement of each and every devotee who is present in the bhajan hall. So you have to choose a bhajan which you can of course sing well. You are very fluent and you are very practiced very well. But you have to choose a bhajan which will suit each and every devotee. Of course, it is not feasible practically, but you have to have a general purview of that situation. If you find only old people today in the mandir, you sing bhajans that might suit them. They might not be able to sing very high or very fast. So you choose a bhajan so that they can follow. Because only when everybody follows, everybody joins in, then it becomes a bhajan, a sankirtan. Otherwise, you will be singing in your own world and the other devotees will be disconnected. So rather than choosing just the bhajans you like, choose bhajans which everybody loves. So I definitely, when I'm singing alone at home, I would choose a bhajan like Sai tero na janam janam mein gaun, janam janam mein gaun, janam भजन शिरडी साई परती साई साई शिरडी साई. Even alone you can do anything. You meditate, you exercise your voice, you check your range, how high you can go, how low. But when you are singing in the hall, sing with everybody, not for everybody. Sing with everyone. So that is how it becomes a sankirtan. And the vibration of each and every voice will resonate and uplift the entire space that you are occupying, and probably bring Swami into your hearts. And many a time, bhajan singers have been called egoistic, even myself. And it is natural, because arts, singing or dancing or painting or any form of art first begins. How does the seed sprout? The desire to be appreciated by others. It is just not for the love of painting that you are painting, but you want somebody else to see it and appreciate. Similarly, you want somebody else to hear and tell, oh, you are singing beautifully, your voice is wonderful. But then you have to grow out of this. You have to grow out of the appreciation. You have to start singing for the sheer joy of singing for Bhagavan. And let me narrate to you a beautiful incident about ego. It was in Vrindavan, Whitefield, and we were three singers, Santosh Pai, Rishabh Giri, and myself. And we used to have bhajan sessions inside the Kalyana Mandap. And one fine day, Swami walks up and says to Rishabh Giri and Santosh Pai, "Bahut ahankar ho gaya," means a lot of ego, and you have become too proud. And you rest for some time. You stop singing for some days. Now, I was the only one left with the bhajan singing, and I used to keep on singing one after the other with a few other singers to help me out. And I was developing a kind of another type of ego, that I am holier than thou ego, which, as Professor N. Kasturi describes, is the worst of all the egos. The spiritual ego is the king cobra of all the snakes. That's what Professor N. Kasturi says. And I have started developing this king cobra in myself, that I don't have ahankar, I don't have ego. That's why Bhagavan exempted me from this exile. And I was singing for a couple of days, and one of the days Swami comes and says, "बहुत strain हो गया तुम्हारा गला, मतलब have you strained your throat too much by singing continuously? Now you rest." So that was how he snubbed my pride and ego. And I was grounded for almost a month, and I was praying, "Bhagavan, my throat is all right now. Please let me sing." And Bhagavan was totally ignoring me. So then I realized, while singing Swami's bhajans, you should get rid of all your knowledge, all your proficiencies, all your knowledge about ragas and talas and your harkats and turnings in the bhajan. You should forget all that and just sing, keeping Bhagavan in mind, and pray. He also that Bhagavan himself takes care of the entire singing process. And it is not always that you get this wonderful feeling after the bhajan. Sometimes you are worried, you forget the next line, and I have forgotten many times in front of Bhagwan and just done na 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 in the bhajan. But Bhagwan is all forgiving, all merciful master, and he realizes that we are humans and we err a lot. So at this point, I would ask you all if you have any suggestions or you would like to hear anything, let me know. Sairam?
Sairam, brother. I think we have a couple of devotees asking to sing a few lines of a couple of bhajans. So if you don't mind, shall I give out the names to you so you can sing those bhajans for us?
Sure.
So one of them is Dayakaru Hari Narayana.
Mm-hmm.
And there is another suggestion as well, more of a request. It's about Sai Bin Rahan Jai.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Mujhe Darsha Dikhao Bhagwan. That's also a request from our devotees. If you don't mind, if you could sing a few lines of it, we'll be really grateful.
Okay. What was the first one?
Give me a second. So the first one was Dayakaru Hari Narayana.
Oh, yes. Dayakaru Hari Narayana. Then Sai Bin. Then Mujhe Darsha Dikhao. All right. Okay. Dayakaru Harinarayan being one of my favorite bhajans. Since there is no tablist and I'll just be singing straight without anybody to follow. Daya karo Sai Narayana, Daya karo Sai Narayana, Karuna Sagar Narayana, Karuna Sagar Narayana, Pankaj Nayana, Pannag Shayana, Pankaj Nayana, Pannag Shayana, Shri Vasudeva Narayana, Shri Vasudeva Narayana, Papa Vinasha Prashanti Vasa, Papa Vinasha Prashanti Vasa, Partipuri Sai Narayana, Partipuri Sai Narayana, Paramananda Narayana, Paramananda Narayana, Daya karo Sai Narayana, Karuna Sagar Narayana. This was Daya karo Sai Narayana. Then Sai Bin Rahana Jai. It's one of the kavalis that Bhagwan used to ask Sri Ravi Kumar to sing a lot. And this was one of the kavalis that I heard being sung in Puttaparthi that drove me towards music, towards bhajan singing. It is a beautiful kavali. Let me try and sing whatever I remember. मोहब्बत की कभी दिल में अगर एहसास होता है, जरा झांको तो पाओगे कि साई पास होता है। ओ करिश्मा ये उसी का है कि दुनिया खूबसूरत लगती है, वरना आदमी को आदमी क्या रास होता है। ओ साई बिन राह न जाए, साई बिन राह न जाए, चैन न आए मोहे चैन न आए, चैन न आए मोहे चैन न आए, साई बिन राह न जाए, साई बिन राह न जाए। जब से देखा तुझको साई मेरे, बरस के प्यासे नैना साँझ सवेरे जब से देखा तुझको साई मेरे, बरस के प्यासे नैना साँझ सवेरे, मिट मर जाए तुझ पे हमसे न रूठे तू, जिंदगी सौंपते हम चरणों में तेरे यूं, जिंदगी सौंपते हम चरणों में तेरे यूं, मन मंदिर से जाओ न साई, मन मंदिर से जाओ न साई, चैन न आए मोहे चैन न आए, चैन न आए मोहे चैन न आए, साई बिन राह न जाए। तुम जानत सब अंतर्यामी, great Puttaparthi Bhajan in Rag Darbari, मुझे दर्श दिखाओ, मुझे दर्श दिखाओ भगवान, हे साईनाथ भगवान, मुझे दर्श दिखाओ भगवान। तुम जानत सब अंतर्यामी, तुम जानत सब अंतर्यामी, दीजो मेरे प्रभु अमृत वाणी, दीजो मेरे प्रभु अमृत वाणी। तुम हो मेरे आत्माराम बाबा, तुम हो मेरे आत्माराम साई, पूर्ण करो मेरे मन की काम बाबा, पूर्ण करो मेरे मन की काम, मुझे दर्श दिखाओ मुझे दर्श दिखाओ भगवान. When you understand the meaning of the bhajan, मुझे दर्श दिखाओ भगवान, we can take it in two ways. Oh Lord, grant me that vision whereby I can see you in everything. I can see Sai Baba, I can see God in everything. Grant me that vision. Or you can also say, Swami, just appear in front of me. Darshan dija means give me your darshan, literal meaning. But if you go deeper, to plead to Bhagwan to give me that vision, to give me that universal vision of love and brotherhood, to see God in everything and everyone. Tum janat sab antaryami. You are the one all-knowing, and you know everything. Dijo mujhe Prabhu Amrit Vani. Give me that immortal Vani means the voice, not the singing voice, the immortal voice, the speaking voice. Give me that. Tum ho mere Atmaram Baba. Purana karo mere man. You are my Atmaram. You are the one residing in my heart. Purana karo mere man ki kaam. Grant me this particular wish. So if you delve into the meaning, of course, I have never been to Sri Lanka. I would love to come there one day and share again these. There are so many beautiful experiences which you can share only one-on-one, And I don't know how Sri Lanka is with the language Hindi. So I too faced a lot of challenges, but Hindi is not much of a problem for us. But there are various devotees in different parts of the world who sing with a lot of fervor, but if they could also understand the meaning and deeper meaning of these bhajans, understand the ragas, the talas, and the feel behind these bhajans, it would bring more devotion to everyone in those centers. And while I was singing this particular bhajan, Mujhe Darse Dikhao, it reminded me of an episode in Kodaikanal. I had the good fortune of being with Bhagwan in Kodaikanal in the year 1993. And Swami had taken some of us singers and about 25 boys to Kodaikanal for the summer retreat. And before going to Kodaikanal, I had heard that Baba takes out rings from, hides inside the sleeves or near the sofa or the throne he sits and he takes out from there. And I was, the teenage mind is always a doubting Thomas. So in Kodaikanal, you get a chance to sit very close to Swami. There is no distance. His feet is resting on your lap or on your hands, and you are touching his feet all the time or just pressing his feet, doing Padaseva. So I wanted to observe this. So in one of the sessions, and I was looking at every move of Swami, left, right hand, wherever it goes. And Swami being Antaryami knows what is going on inside this doubting Thomas's mind. So he deliberately turns aside, and from the side of his sofa, he pulls out a ring, almost like showing me directly. And he does this action of creating and he gives it to a boy. And I was devastated. All my bhakti, all my devotion to Bhagwan was gone in a flash. I thought this is so true that Sai Baba is such a fraud. So that evening, Anil Kumar sir was walking near the lake. We used to go for a walk. And I ran up to Anil Kumar sir and told, Anil Kumar sir, I saw this. And Anil Kumar sir gave me one rap on the head like this And he told, miracles are for kindergarten students. Are you a kindergarten in spirituality? That's all he told, but I was not satisfied. And that evening I was very feeling very dejected and, let down by Bhagwan. So I sat behind and Swami came out and he asked Colonel Jogarao, why are you finding trouble getting up in the morning? He is an old man. And then Colonel Jogarao said, there is no clock in the room. There is no alarm clock. And then Swami told, you want a clock? And on top of my head like this, Swami waved his hand. And I could see molten gold forming inside his palm. And I was afraid that hot thing would, drop on me and burn me. And this big, about this size, golden alarm clock came out of his hands on top of my head. And he knocked me with the hand and he said, doubting Thomas. So that is how Antaryami works with his students and with his devotees. And मुझे दरस दिखाओ भगवान, तुम जानत सब अंतर्यामी. He knows what's going inside the head. And instead of, letting, okay, if this fellow doubts me, let him doubt. He did not, give in so easily. He corrected me and he showed what Bhagwan really is and how he installed the faith back in me. So this, with this experience with Bhagwan, I would once again go back to our moderator. If you have anything, if our brothers and sisters have any questions or any.
Sairam, brother. I have to first thank you so much for that beautiful renditions. I think we surely felt Swami's presence around us, and indeed we felt we are in Swami's darbar. So I just want to thank you for that. And I think we should start the questions as well, because the devotees has poured in with so many questions. So,
yes.
So I will go one by one, brother. So one of the questions we have is, what is Bhava and how do we learn to sing with Bhava?
Bhava. Well, literally, Bhava means feeling. But it changes as you mature. As you keep on singing bhajans, throughout your lives, the Bhava, what you experience becomes Bhava. It is not what you feel mentally, because what you feel, what you think of, you start with that initially. When we were students in Vrindavan, our warden sir was Narasimhamurthy sir. So in one of his speeches, he told, before you sing a bhajan, you think of anyone you love, your mother, your father, your sister, brother, and bring that feeling into the bhajan. Now, we started with simple bhajans like say, let's take one bhajan, for example. Jyoti Swarupini Ma Dina Janavani Ma. Okay. So you think of a mom who is at home, who has cooked for you every day, who has taken care of you, who has, who has washed you, bathed you, given birth to you, and nurtured you, and made you what you are. She is the light of your life, Jyoti Swarupini. And then he told us, transfer that feeling to Bhagwan. Now, as a novice, as I was not so acquainted with Sri Satya Sai Baba, even when I joined college, it took me long to, attach this feeling with Swami, to take Sai Baba as my mother. But slowly, as you live with Bhagwan, like the episode where Bhagwan puts money inside my pocket and tells me to have fruits and viva. Slowly, his caring nature and the fact that he understands you more than your own parents. Your parents might forget you sometimes, but Bhagwan is always there with you. So, slowly another type of feeling develops, all right? Which is not, you do not have to think of anybody, but moment you sing, Jyoti Swarupini Ma, Dina Janavani Ma. So, from the mental level, from the thinking and feeling process, you start experiencing the bhajan. You start being in the very moment of the bhajan. Like Jyoti Swarupini Ma. Okay, just now what happened? I started shivering in the line when I said Ma. You know, so you start experiencing. Jyoti Swarupini Ma. You could have sung Jyoti Swarupini Ma, Dina Janavani Ma. But now, in the present moment, what am I feeling? What am I experiencing? Sorry. Jyoti Swarupini Ma, Dina Janavani Ma. So I'm taking that feeling a little deeper than the mental level. So the bhava becomes experience. And this experience of whatever you are joyful or sad or whatever, you are just witnessing that and letting the song happen by itself, letting the music through you become empty. You are just experiencing the bliss or the sadness, the bliss of sadness, the bliss of beauty or bliss of sadness, whatever you might call. So as you keep on singing, as you keep on maturing, this kind of experience starts to settle inside you. And it becomes your very personal, it is very personal. I don't know how capable I was of explaining this particular phenomenon, but you just surrender everything, leave everything away, leave everything aside, and just start feeling the bhajan, experiencing the bhajan within. So for me, that is, I find bhava is that, right?
That's a great answer, brother. I think so many of us would have learned so much from that answer. And I have a question along that same line from one of our devotees. So they're asking, sometimes when we lead a bhajan as a singer and getting deep with the meaning of the words and thinking the form of Swami or some divine graces in our life, tears starts to come out and we are not able to continue singing as a lead singer. And there are a lot of chances that bhajan may get disturbed. So how to handle these moments?
Correct. So see, that is the exact thing I was talking about. Emotion, feeling is the very preliminary levels of bhava. This is my opinion, okay? So when you are in the right bhava, you are very aware. You are aware of the situation, of your responsibility as a lead singer and your duty as a lead singer. But if you are just emotional or hysterical, then these things happen. You cannot call this bhava, because bhava or sadbhava means you are aware of everything. You are very sensitive to everything. You know where you stand. So you are standing on a very solid ground, solid foundation. So if you are leading Sai Bhajans, you cannot be hysterical and crying while you are singing, or you cannot. Basically, you cannot be so irresponsible to leave the bhajan in between, in the middle of it. So you have to take consideration. Of course, sometimes it happens that you are overpowered. When I first, the human side of the mundane side, the mind enters the singing, right? You think of all sorts of things, the problems you have gone through, and that creeps in. When the mind creeps in, it destroys the bhava. When you're thinking, your emotions and your what you call feelings, it destroys the bhava. Bhava is not thinking or emoting. When I first, after Swami's Samadhi, when I went to Puttaparthi and had to sit before an empty throne in front of his Samadhi, I remember singing Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat Namah Shivaya. And in the first line, I choked. And luckily, nowadays we have two singers in Puttaparthi. So, but I feel it is a human, weakness that allows the mind to come inside the singing. So when you transcend that level, so then you can step into bhava and find what Bhajans come to give us.
Again, thanks a lot for the beautiful answer, brother. I think it is really informative, and we could learn that from we have to transcend the level of emotion to learn what is bhava. That's a great answer, brother. And I have another question. So one of our devotees asking, can you suggest some techniques to improve upon or practice our bhajan singing in order to become a good bhajan singer?
Yes. My Guruji, Pandit Dayal Thakur Sahib, he used to tell 70% of singing is listening. So you listen. If you are, say, singing for 1 hour, you should have listened for at least, if you are singing for 3 hours, you should have listened for 7 hours. So if you are singing one bhajan, you should, if you are singing 3 bhajans, you should have listened to at least 7 bhajans. To maintain that percentage. So singing is a very, very important part of learning music, because whatever goes in only comes out, right? It's like an ATM machine, and whatever savings you have, that's what you can draw. So listen to bhajans in plenty. If you want to sing, listen to different versions of the same bhajans. Nowadays we have plenty of bhajans on YouTube or other websites, radio site. First, listen to that bhajan, how it is being sung by different singers, and then develop your own. Of course, you will naturally develop your own. So pick up the best parts you love and practice it. There is no alternative to practice. You have to sing one bhajan at least 25 times before you sing it for Bhagwan.
Thanks a lot, brother. So there's another question. So how should the bhajan selection be for the beginner level bhajan singers?
Oh yes, of course, it is a simple answer. Bhajans which they are very comfortable, and one main thing is to check their pitch. if you have a harmonium player in the house, in the hall, you can first check their pitch, what is suited for them, and choose bhajans which suit the singing style. So that is also very important. Supposing I am right from near the Himalayas, right? If I choose a bhajan which is very South Indian, I won't be able to do justice because I don't have training in that and I don't have the cultural background to justify that bhajan. So I normally tend to sing very North Indian type of bhajans. So though I love listening to South Indian type of bhajans, but you should choose bhajans for basic singers. You should choose simple bhajans. There is a lot of beauty in simple bhajans, as I've already told you. Yes, Sairam.
Thank you so much, brother. And there is one question. Please share an occasion when you have felt a close connection with Swami during a bhajan composition.
Close. Well, there have been many instances. Of course, it will never end if I keep on. And of course, another thing is it's been so many years. So whenever I see a familiar face, like an old friend from the college days, those incidents come back to life. You know, like yesterday, we were celebrating my birthday at home, and Yashab Giri, my fellow partner in singing and alumnus, he came, and moment we saw each other, Swami's episodes after episodes started coming up. And of course, all these bhajans have had a lot of connection with Bhagwan. And let me share with you one incident in Kodaikanal itself. I am from Darjeeling, right? I have a different mother tongue. Yashab Giri also is from Darjeeling. He has a different mother tongue. And Santosh Pai is from Mumbai. He speaks Marathi. So we wanted to gift on the day of Vishu, I think. Vishu, right? It was 13th of April, 1993. We wanted to sing, I wanted to sing a Malayali song. This one. Mukambike Devi Jagadambike Mupaharinum Nitya Vardaive. Yeshudasa's song. Beautiful composition. And Yashab Giri wanted to try a Tamil song. Something like that. Very tough and tongue twisting, you know, for us. And Santosh Pai sang a Telugu song. Yantahai, Yantahai Nadu. That song. And we sang before Bhagwan. And he was praising the students. Dekho mera student. He's from Darjeeling. He's from here. He's from here. Yet they are singing Telugu songs. They are singing Malayali and Tamil songs. And he was going around with the VIPs, you know. As Swami is so proud of his students, and he's telling Colonel Jogarao, my students are so great, and this and that. And we performed that day. Okay performance. We were sort of quite dissatisfied with what we did. We knew in our heart of hearts that Bhagwan is just praising for the sake of it, and that we did not really, you know, do a great job of these songs. But still his love for his students was so great that, you know, but in another way, he wanted to teach us a lesson too, that all the attention and all the grace you are getting is because of my blessings only. If you were to sing this in public, nobody would regard you as a singer. So what he did, Malaysia Vasudevan, I think that was his name, the great singer, Tamil singer, he was also there. And Swami asked, how did my boys sing? And of course, Malaysia Vasudevan didn't have any other option other than to say that, of course, Swami, your students, they sang great. And he asked, Swami told Malaysia Vasudevan, can you sing one line of each of the songs? And then when Malaysia Vasudevan opened his voice and he sang the same songs, Swami didn't have to tell us anything. Malaysia Vasudevan made us realize what those songs were really. So beautiful voice, it was like flowing like an angel, and perfect pronunciation, perfect rhythm, and perfect sur, everything. We realized in our hearts, it is just because of Bhagwan's grace that we are getting these opportunities to sing in public. Otherwise, singers like such great singers like Malaysia Vasudevan were just sitting there watching the students do all the singing. So this was how Swami used to teach us, guide us every step. Despite the so many things he had to do, so many prayers he had to answer, he was constantly teaching us step by step how to sing. And I pray to Bhagwan that he keeps on granting this grace of being able to sing his glory and share these wonderful days and wonderful experiences with you all. Sairam, any other questions?
Yes, brother, we do have. So one question is, there are several bhajans that are sung with different lyrics and tune based on the geographical locations they are sung from. Is this acceptable, or should all singers globally stick to Prashanti version of singing?
Yes, of course. See, this is a natural phenomenon all over the world that the bhajans from Prashanti Nilayam become a little bit distorted. Even inside Prashanti Nilayam, the bhajans we used to sing when in our days, in the 90s, nowadays it is sung in a little bit different tune. And some bhajans, the words have changed. Swami has rectified some of the words of some of the bhajans. Like we used to sing Tu Hi Allah, Tu Hi Yeshu. Swami has changed it to Tum Hi Allah, Tum Hi Yeshu. So many things has happened. Of course, whatever is done in Prashanti Nilayam, whether it's in the olden days or whether it is in the modern days, it is acceptable as standard. So since these bhajans are already there on the internet, so I think the little justice we can do is refer to them, before singing, whether the words are right. Radio Sai has got its own YouTube channel, so you can check on Radio Sai, because even on YouTube, if you hear, you'll hear different versions of the same bhajan. So I think Radio Sai is the most authentic source where you can really get the genuine tune and the lyrics of the bhajan. And of course, when we are handling centers all over the world, like you are doing in Sri Lanka, we'll have to deal with all sorts of inefficiencies, all sorts of levels of singing, right? And there are different levels of singers, there are different levels of instrumentalists. Some people don't have a harmonium player, some don't have a tabla player, some don't have singers. So we are making do. But the basic thing is, we should not hurt each other's feelings that, by saying, by insulting them or by, making such comments that they stop coming for bhajans at all. So let us build an atmosphere of happiness inside the mandir, inside the samiti. Let us build an atmosphere of brotherhood and sisterhood. Let us make it like a family. Let us forgive each other's mistakes. At the same time, appropriately, in a very sensitive way, if you can correct them. But let us do it amicably. Because I have heard very, very, very funny versions when I have been around the world. I have heard some very funny, funny tunes and pronunciations, you know. But it is the heart which matters ultimately, right? To Bhagwan. If it is acceptable to Bhagwan, then who are we to complain about it? But at the same time, the singers should also pick up the responsibility and do their bit.
Thank you so much for that a meaningful answer, brother. And I think we are closing in on the closing time. I just want to ask, like, we have around 5 questions. So will it be possible to go ahead with it, brother?
Okay, we can do a quick session. Yes.
Thanks, Lord, brother. So one question is, I'm having a tough time to sticking to tala when I'm singing. So is there any particular practice method which will help me?
For talas, it is basically you have to sit with the tablist. Nowadays, you get tabla apps on the phones. So you have to, first of all, you have to listen to how it is sung in tala. And secondly, you have to practice with tala. So this is a problem of many singers. So it is about as simple as that. You sit with the tabla app and it will solve their problem.
Thanks, Lord, brother. In the same line as another question, so they have asked, is there any apps or platforms you would suggest to practice ragas, talas?
Well, out of the few I know, apps like the tabla apps, that tabla studio is there, one very good app. Then which has bhajan thekas in it. Then for Tanpura, you have Tanpura Droid, which is a very good Tanpura app for Sood, you know. And for ragas, there may be a lot of lessons on radio side about bhajan singing. Bhajan Tutor is one of the programs they have on the website where they teach bhajan line by line. Yes, sir.
Thanks, Lord, brother. And the next question we have is, you have composed many Sai Bhajan albums. In that genre, Bhajan singing or Bhajan composing or recording and music arrangement, which is your favorite area?
My favorite is composing. Rather than even singing or recording or mixing or arranging, composing allows you to connect, you know, directly with the seed, the creation process, where at that stage where it's like your baby, you know, you're giving birth to a baby. So you are becoming God almost. You are deciding the fate of what that bhajan is going to sound like. So that is my favorite part.
That's a really heartwarming answer, brother. So one more question we have is it appropriate to use many variations while singing?
As I've already told you, if you're singing for a performance or for a YouTube video, you can do as many variations you like. But when you're singing for Sai Bhajans in a hall with a lot of devotees who are following you, keep variations to a minimum so that everybody can understand the structure of the tune and they can follow easily. Variations, don't do variations just for the sake of, you know, doing your vocal gymnastics. unless you attach some experience to that, or bhava to that variation, some content, bhava content to that variation, it's no point. It is just another gymnastic. If I give you a simple example, like Mathura Dhipati, Mathura Dhipati, Mathura Dhipati. You can do like hundreds and hundreds of variations. There is no end to that. But variation is not a song. Variation is just variation. It may exhibit your potential, your mastery over the raga, but it should also connect. So main thing is connection. Stick to a very, very few variations. Don't do too many variations. Saram.
Thank you so much for all the answers, brother. I think we have learned a lot, and we have learned in terms of understanding. I think we have a lot more better understanding thanks to your great answers. And on behalf of Sri Satya Sai Organization Sri Lanka, we would like to thank you from the bottom of our heart for spending this evening with us and making us even closer to Swami by your divine renditions and your experience sharing. And we pray that Swami will keep on blessing you abundantly with great health and joy. And we would like to finish this session with one of your favorite bhajans, brother. Please sing a favorite bhajan of yours to finish this session. Jai Sai Ram.
Saram. Hari Hari Sumirana, Hari Hari Bhajo Manu, Hari Hi Tero Tan Man aur Dhan, Surdas Bhaje Ramam Ramam, Meera Dasi Bhaj Govindam. हरि बिन ते हरि बिन जीवन कैसा जीवन हरि चरण में तन मन अर्पण हरि हरि सुमिरन हरि हरि भजो मन. Saram, dear sisters and brothers, and all the office bearers. Once again, thank you to Bhagwan for providing such a wonderful opportunity and to connect with you all. And I hope one day I will see you all in Sri Lanka and share with you all more experiences and perhaps have a bhajan session there. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Jai Sai Ram.
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.